Yo, what's going on, guys? How's it going? It's Blue, finally making the lawn guide that you guys have been asking for. I just want to start off though by saying there is no one specific way to do things on her. She has so many different options available to her, which is what makes her so much fun, in my opinion. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Treat this as a kind of introduction to her, but once you guys actually get the hang of her, I would really love to see what you guys come up with. You know, trying out different skills to do different types of CCs and things of that nature, maybe potentially different builds and all that fun stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Yo guys, I just want to say first off, definitely go check out Inven Global if you haven't already. They have a couple introductory type awakening guides already out. They do cover pretty much just the basics of the various different skills. It's a really good introductory type thing into Lahn Awakening. Obviously, if you guys are more knowledgeable, the more you play her, the better you'll understand how her skills work, and the better you'll be able to just branch off into your own various combos. I will say on her combo guide, some of these may not work the same way that they show off, because the training dummies aren't actually considered players and they have different type of CC mechanics. But nevertheless, it's still a pretty good introductory type guide to Lahn. And again, once you guys learn how she actually plays, and you guys learn and get a handle of the different skills, you guys come up with your own combos. So now we're gonna get into crystals. This is gonna be this is where we're gonna kind of branch off into different various types. A lot of players will like the general Gen Viper. They swear by Gen Vipers. They say you need them if you don't have RCEs, things of that nature. If that's you, then that's you. If that's what you feel works best, that's what you feel works best. A lot of people will kind of go with Gen Kobe's for the DR and the HP. Some will go for Gen Harpias, some will go for, the crystals is very preferential based on the stats you want. Some people have the general standard Gen crystal build, then some people have the BMC crystal build that has a lot of different resistances to stack your resistances. And then what I use in because the Dragon came out, the new content has new crystals. They're called they're various different set crystals, I guess you could say. I'll put an article from Inven Global about them down below. But they have 3 different types. They have a red, blue, and a green version. They kind of give you different stats based off of the type of set crystal. The 2 set effect and the 4 set effect do stack together. So let's say you have 4 of the Macalods. You'll actually end up having 10 AP, 200 stamina, 8 accuracy, 5% combat XP, and 3% ignore all resist. So this is kind of my general crystal setup. I have precision crystals in my Zaka. I do a lot of 1v1s. I do a lot of arenas. My playstyle revolves around CC landing, so I try to get as much ignore resist as I can. And so obviously with that, I'm going to use precision crystals. I have 2 power hum crystals in my helmet and in my, actually I have them now in my helmet and in my armor. I do not have them in my maneuver anymore. I have awakened spirit crystals here. I'll kind of talk about that in a bit. In my boots and gloves, I have the power Macalods. So pretty much the hums will give me more resistance. The Macalods will give me more ignore resistance. And then I have, again, the power hum is in my armor. And in my offhand, I use awakened spirit crystals. A lot of people have been asking me what kind of crystals should I use in my offhand. Should I use awakened spirit crystals? Should I use crit? Should I use, down attack damage? That's going to be very based off of you and what type of, gear you want to use. Depends on the type of skills you use, what type of damage you're looking for. So I'll kind of say my piece about that, and you can kind of decide for yourself what you want to use. So there's 3 different types: Awaken, Spirit, Crit Damage, and Down Attack. They have different pros and cons. With Awakened Spirit Crystals, their AP is guaranteed damage across every skill, regardless, right? Because it's just straight up pure 5 AP per crystal. On top of that, the HP helps your defensive stats a bit. I mean, having 300 HP, it's going to help you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The extra HP is definitely going to help you defensively. It's not going to be this it's not going to be this God mode type thing, but it is going to help you in those situations where, if you would have had just a little bit extra HP, you would have lived. Or, if you just need just a little bit of extra HP to get yourself out of the fight, help you disengage or something, it's going to be there for you. It's going to help. I will say, I think but adding like bonus HP is definitely worth if you're going to have like a lot, if you're going to stack it. For example, my build that I want to do, I'm going to be running Whale Molars, Vartara Belt, and then the new Dragon Ring that gives you HP as well. So at the end of the day, I'll have an extra, I'll have like in open world PvP, I'll have around 4600 to 4700 HP. And in Node Wars, in KR, in Node Wars, they give you an extra 1000 HP as well as RBF. So in Node Wars and RBF, I'll be around 56 to 5700 HP. So it's kind of why I'm using Awakened Spirit Crystals. But yeah, so we keep going. Crit damage crystals. Obviously, it's kind of like the way the name is. Crit damage crystals. It's going to increase your damage on every hit that procs a crit. But the thing about that is not every skill, not every hit in the skill is going to be crit. It's maybe if you have 100% crit skill, then every hit will be crit. But not every skill, if you have like a 50% crit or something like that, not every hit on the skill is going to be crit. So let's say you have, you know, a skill that throws out 3 hits. If you see the crit, that doesn't mean that all 3 hits are crit. It just means maybe 1, 2, or maybe 3. Generally, I've noticed it's maybe like half of the skills or even less than that is a crit. So, you know, let's say you throw 3 skills, you throw out a skill that has 3 hits, 1 of them is crit. The crit damage will actually modify that specific hit, but the other 2 are still going to be the same because they weren't crit, right? So for me, it's kind of like, while it does, you know, increase your crit damage, and so if you have a combo that has high percent crits, that might help. I personally prefer the static AP that's going to help with every single hit instead of just the specific crit damage. Same can be said about down attack. Instead of crits, obviously, you know, you use them for down attacks, and the down attack damage has the chance of, you know, getting increased damage. If you're somebody who utilizes down attacks a lot, then maybe this is the crystal for you. Personally, again, it's just going to be the same thing. I want something that's going to be a static extra damage across every single hit I do, not just down attacks, not just crits. And so I use Awakened Spirit Crystals. On top of that, the crit damage and down attack don't have any defensive stats on it at all. I value that HP too much to let it go. So personally, I'm going with Awakened Spirit Crystals. But yeah, so that's kind of it about crystals. You know, it's just going to be preference based off the stats you want, you know. Obviously, a lot of people say, I will say, try to make sure you have +5 attack speed. Always. You know, if it's not with a, you know, if it's not with an armor piece, if it's not with a food buff, using a crystal. If it's not with a crystal, you know, I mean, obviously try to use it for at least a costume crystal or something. Find some way to make sure you always have +5 AP. +5 attack speed, because especially with Lahn, it's really important. Lahn has pretty long animations at times, so that attack speed is definitely going to help you. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and talk about stance swaps. Pretty straightforward. So first, Unawakening to Awakening, you have your forward dash, which is Shift W. The next one is your sidestep. Just press Shift A or Shift D from Unawakening, and you can use it in Awakening. So third one is actually your Flow Vice. You have to put it on your hotbar. It is your Shift R and B flow in Awakening, but you can put it on your hotbar and you can just straight up use Flow Vice whenever. So and you can use it obviously from Unawakening to get into Awakening. Third is your grab. You can actually just press the input command of E from Unawakening and you'll actually do your grab. After that, it's Deadly Dance. So there's a few ways you can do this. If you just press WF with Spring Breeze locked, you'll be able to do it. The other ways, if you have no stamina, you can actually do it that way as well without having any stamina. It'll just go straight into Deadly Dance. And then, you know, we have our Bridal Despair. You have to lock Wind Orchid and you just press the key input of S, R, and B. Or if Wind Orchid is on cooldown, it'll use Bridal Despair as well. Now we're going to go ahead and go from Awakening to Unawakened. There's various different ways we can do that. You can use Blade of Blood, but it must be on the hotbar. If you have Blade of Blood on your hotbar, you can use it. It's a really good super armor skill. I definitely recommend picking it up. Then we have Salpery Purge. Again, if you have it on your hotbar, you can use it in Awakening to get to Unawakening. It's pretty good in some of the combos that I'll show you guys in a little bit. And then you have Cymbidium, which is your down F, S plus F. You can just use the key input and it'll quickly swap into it. Besides those, the only other ways that I'm aware of, besides C swapping, from getting from Awakening to Unawakening, are your fusion skills. You just have to put them on your hotbar. Both your 56 and 57 fusion skills will swap into Unawakening. And those are your stand swaps. So just a quick, fun other way to go from Unawakening to Awakening is through Nimbus Stride. You can actually C-swap in the middle of Nimbus Stride. So if you started off in Unawakening, after the first 2 air steps, you can actually press C-swap. It'll do like a barrel roll. And then if you press Shift A or D, it'll do another barrel roll. And then if you have the flow, it'll do the flow as well. Alright guys, so now we're going to cover combos. If you guys have seen KIMO's video, you guys will probably see some of these. The generic KR combos that Lahns have been doing in KR. Again, I just want to say though, there is no one specific way to play her. She has so many different CCs available to her. If I remember correctly, literally every type of CC in the game besides freezing, she has. So once you guys learn her and learn her skills a bit more, and I'm sure you guys have already been doing that, you will be able to create your own different types of combos that'll specifically fit how you play her, which is really great and really fun about her. Alright, so let's just start off with the generic combos, you know, pretty quick, high damage combos that you'll generally see. So the first one is actually Awakening, pretty much the entire thing, or the entire thing. You start off with a grab, and then you use Tailspin, which is down attack damage, into Flow Vice, which is a down smash, and down attack damage. Once you do that, you then use your Deadly Dance, which will give you a float and air attack. Air attack currently, if I remember correctly, still has the highest special attack multiplier. After Deadly Dance, you use Bleeding Heart, which is down attack, into Flow Mangler. The second part of Bleeding Heart actually kind of has this tiny little pool, which is kind of cool, so it brings them back to you. Instead of Bleeding Heart and Flow Mangler, if you have high enough AP, you can just use Bridal Despair, which is a little bit quicker. But yeah, in total, this combo takes about 6 seconds, so I'll go ahead and demonstrate that to you now. So now we're going to go ahead and go over the combo that I like to use in KR. This one has a decent amount of bleeds and a DP debuff, which works great because even though I'm at 235 AP, against the Korean players that are like 270 AP and 295 to 300 plus DP, their renowned score gives them a lot of extra DR, so the DP debuff helps me a lot. So let's go ahead and get into it. This one, I start off with a grab, and then I use my 56 fusion skill. By the way, I take the one with the stun. That way I can actually pull this combo off without proccing an extra CC from when they're on the ground with this skill. So I'll use a grab into my fusion skill, and then I'll tap space for Eye of the Phoenix. I use that just for extra bonus damage while they're CC'd, and I also get to proc a poison due to skill add-ons. So I use grab, fusion skill, Eye of the Phoenix, into Salpery Purge, which will then proc a Pain Bleed, because of skill add-ons. It also does Float Air Attack and a DP debuff. And then after that, I'll use Eye of the Phoenix and Moon Slash, just because it's extra damage while they're on the ground. I get to re-proc the Poison Bleed due to skill add-ons. And then from there, I'll use Sacred Dance for a quick down smash. After Sacred Dance, I'll use Flow Vice for another down smash, and it'll actually proc a bleed as well. This combo takes 6 seconds, just like the first combo. This one I feel like can potentially do more for you if you're fighting tankier players. If all the down smashes land and they're still not dead, I'll kind of just try to use Tailspin to finish him off. If they start to recover, which sometimes happens if they're just super overgeared compared to me, I will then use Primrose Sprint to kind of safely back off with that iframe. So here it goes, check out the combo. Okay, so this next combo is actually a more of a down attack and knockdown type combo. So if you guys have down attack damage crystals, these might help you do more damage with the with this combo. It's awakening and unawakening. So basically what I do is I use my grab into my 56 fusion skill for some quick damage and swap into unawakening into blooming nether, which gives knockdown and down attack. After the knockdown, I'll give it like half a second for extra down attack damage, and then I'll cancel with Eye of the Phoenix into Moon Slash. I use Eye of the Phoenix into Moon Slash because it's just really quick. It gives you extra damage in between CC, and I also have a poison bleed on Eye of the Phoenix. After that, I'll use Sacred Dance for a down attack and down smash into Flow Vice, which has a down attack and down smash, but it also has a bleed. And after I get that down smash off from Flow Vice, I'll use Bleeding Hearts, which also has down attack. So literally, I'd say almost every skill besides Eye of the Phoenix and Moon Slash has down attack in this combo. It's only 1 second longer. It's 7 seconds total compared to the other combos that I showed that was 6 seconds. I'll go ahead and play it for you guys now on the screen. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and go into this next combo. This is actually probably one of the quickest combos that I can think of. This just goes from a grab to damage into a float into damage. So this might not work for everybody, it just depends on your AP and the person you're fighting, but we'll just go into it. So this one goes from a grab into Bridal Despair for extra damage and a bleed, into Deadly Dance, which gives you float and air attack, into Bleeding Hearts and Flow Mangler. Again, Bleeding Hearts has a slight pull on the second part of the skill, which is kind of cool. It kind of brings them back to you. And Flow Mangler, to finish it off, it has down attack as well. It has a pain bleed, and it also has a move speed debuff, so if they do get up, they'll be debuffed by, I believe, 20% for like 10 seconds. So it's definitely worth taking. So yeah, I'll go ahead and play that for you now. This is also a 5 second long combo, so it's really quick. Alright, so now we're going to go into this next combo, which is similarly as quick as the last combo I just showed you. This one kind of plays off of the flow air attack as well. And this one actually has a DP debuff, so I like this one a little bit more, to be honest. So we'll just go ahead and show it. So you go for a grab into Salpery Purge, which has a flow air attack and a DP debuff, and then if you have skill add-ons, you can get a bleed on it as well. Into Flow Vice, which has a down smash, down attack, and if you have skill add-on, a bleed. Into Bleeding Hearts, into Flow Mangler. So the way this works is just literally a grab, then you float them with Salpery Purge, get the DP debuff, then you use Flow Vice to quickly swap back into Awakening and get a down smash off into Bleeding Hearts and Flow Mangler. It's about 4 to 5 seconds long, so it's also a pretty quick combo, and I just personally love it. I love any combo that can start off with a DP debuff, because that just means potentially more damage to the other player. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and talk about 1vx kind of AoE CC chain you can do. Keep in mind, you have to be cautious of any grabs because her skills are pretty stationary. This is completely super armor. It's pretty fun to do, to be honest, as long as you don't get CC'd from a grab. So this one, you dash as your engagement tool. It's super armor. It's great. I love it. So you dash in, you use Salpery Purge for flow air attack, and you, of course, lower their DP. Into Sacred Dance, which has a down smash and a down attack. Into Flow Vice, which also has down smash and down attack. Into Bleeding Hearts. Now you kind of have to be careful. You might have to click to move your Sacred Dance if you don't position yourself correctly. That's pretty easy to do once you get used to it. Again, this is entirely super armor. The only time you're not super armored is potentially in between different skills, so kind of be cautious with that. So you know, if for whatever reason your guild's about to initiate and you're flanking, and if you see a good opportunity to go in and get an AoE CC off, you can actually go in and just dash in, use your shift Q, your celebrate perch, put on your hotbar, and that'll do a flow air attack. It's a pretty nice AoE. It can hit a lot of players. It lowers their DP by 15. And once your guild goes in, you can either back off and then re-engage with your guild, or continue to stay there if you aren't going to be targeted.